Fornace Gallero, A Journey Through Wine in Greece. And the supervisor was aware, sorry, Professoressa Manuela Matone and Elena Di Giorgio.
Yes. Thank you. Just a few words to introduce the work that has been done by Anna, Elena, and Juana. They have worked on the design of the reuse proposal of Fornace Gallera, an industrial building which is not part of now. And their proposal starts from the outcome of an investigation, a territorial investigation aimed at identify the needs of an illegal site and so they have designed this intervention according to what was on the one side to enhance the industrial heritage, which is very important, but nowadays enough recognized by people also living in site, and that in some cases they do not even know the existence of Nace, and at the same time they have designed this intervention in order to answer the needs of what the small town has turned out to have. As Professor Elena said, the future was me together with Professor Elena Di Giorgio. Now it's your turn to illustrate. Thank you very much.
No. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are Anna and Juana. We want to start this journey introducing our site, Fornace Gaero, in an industrial heritage. located in Dogliani, Cuneo, highlighting its recognition in Il Fondo dell'Ambiente Italiano as one of the luoghi del cuore. But actually, when we asked people about the site, they didn't know about it.
The site is actually the owner still lives on the site and he owns the whole area. And the fornace, the industry, is composed by the main nave that has the Hoffman kiln where the bricks are produced. Then he added a cistern where he stored all the fuel to produce these bricks, and the lateral nave and the extra structure on the side to dry the bricks.
Now we want you to imagine entering the Fornace Gaero in its golden era, filled with life and production, where the Hoffman kiln is still fired, and every piece of the building was useful. Now it's a whole abandoned space, destroyed, many unused spaces, and just a small part used for production. This is what we want to change.
So we ask ourselves, how can the adaptive reuse of Fornace Gaero be strategically planned to preserve historical significance while reviving the essence of Dogliani, the place, the region's cultural identity?
We started to value the physical elements of the site, the Hoffman kiln, and the bricks, because they play an important role in Italy's construction industry because its economic development and its mass production. Thanks to the Hoffman Hill, the production is continued and granted efficiency and good bricks. We identified other three fornaci in Piemonte that had the similar characteristics as Fornace Gaero, that were Fornace Carena, Fornace Sezzadio, and Laterizzi, Garelli, and Miglietti.
Another thing that we want to value is that actually Dogliani is located in the hills of Langhe, Roero, and Monferrato, that they are part of the World Heritage List of UNESCO. But if you can see in this map, Dogliani is actually outside of the buffer area. So even though it has similarities in the landscape, it's not part of this list of preservation. But Dogliani has a treasure that it's the dolcetto, that it's this grape that it's very hard to produce. But right now, since it's hard to produce, people don't actually know it, and it has lost a lot of popularity, because when you talk about wine in Piemonte, you normally hear about Barolo, Barbaresco, but Dolcetto, it's not the most recognized. But right now, the producers want to enhance this identity and this essence of their own and make it more seeable again.
Apart from the wine culture, we highlighted Dogliani's architectural identity. Giovanni Battista Eschelino was the architect of Dogliani, and he had a great impact in the town's aesthetic. One of the vision of the town was to use local handcrafted bricks that were produced in Fornace Gaero, and also his eclectic style highlighted Dogliani among other towns in Langhe. But also Dogliani is filled with life and events. So we analyzed all the events throughout the year and where they took place, and if they were developed indoor or in outdoor spaces. But also all the events, or the majority, are developed in public squares or in points of interest within Dogliani, but most of them are not suitable for different types of events and activities.
Because we saw all these events and activities that are hosted in Dogliani, we also searched for accommodations to go, and we saw that in the center, the most common ones are Airbnbs that they're not always available, and the bigger ones to host more people are actually located on the outside of Dogliani, and they also offer activities, interested activities related to agriculture and wine, but they're very hard to access. So
Well, after all this urban analysis of Doliani, this made us think the potentials that Fornaciagairo had to be part of the Doliani's urban landscape and also in the Lange region. So in the past, Fornaciagairo had an important role. It was a key player in Italy's construction, like in regional construction. And nowadays, the owner preserves many products and all machinery. But above all, these hidden treasures are local heritage. And for this is for us is an opportunity to showcase the history, the tradition, and the industrial past of Fornaciagairo. But sadly, this site hasn't undergone many important interventions, and as a result, the building has a lot of deterioration. For example, corrosion. When the material expands, it affects other materials, and this weakens the structure.
Another common decay is rise and dump that affects the detachment of the plaster and the paint and can also affect the structure. Then in case of this industry, the owner has left it to deteriorate, so it has grown a lot of plants, which cause a lot of weight in the structure, causing also the structure to come down. And efflorescence that it's normally more than it's superficial, but if it's left to decay, it can also affect the structure.
On the other hand, wet and dry cycles causes cracks, warp, loss, rot, and loss of the material, especially in the wooden roof. And there have been some interventions, but have been done by the owner. So the materials he used were not compatible with the original ones, and they caused a laser separation and cracks among others. Sorry, and freeze and thaw cycles affected the chimney because the water that enters to the porous freezes and make pressure and expansion.
These problems, we also saw it in some case studies that we searched. This is the first one. It's called the Pudong Hoffman. It's located in China. And the adapter use that they make was actually have an open area and connectivity inside to host a restaurant. The second one, it's called Sukyadian brick kiln that is also located in China, and they focus mainly on preserving the inside and the fornace as it was. So they focus on the light coming from above and the education. So they host a museum and workshops. And the third one that we mentioned earlier, that was Fornace Carena, that it's actually located in Piemonte. Right now it still produces bricks, but it's also a multi-functional space where they have a museum, and in the same space of the museum, they also host events. These three elements, we wanted to also go back and understand what it's the bridge between bricks and wine. And this would be the earth itself, la terra. This from the earth, it caused the metamorphosis of the bricks and the earth. And this transformation is what we want to happen with Doliani and Fornaciagaero to preserve the identity and the essence. So our concept is the revitalization and regeneration of Doliani and Fornaciagaero. We have three aims. The first one, the architectural, is to preserve and revitalize the industrial heritage of Fornaciagaero. The second one, related to social and economic, is to boost Doliani's tourism by integrating the Dolcetto and the architecture of Esquelino. And the third one, the historical, is to preserve all this tradition of brick making process and highlight the tradition of this wine culture.
After the analysis, we created three strategies to create the project. The first one is to strengthen the urban linear connectivity, joining or connecting the spaces in Doliani, public squares and buildings where they host markets and events, with Fornaciagaero adapting its spaces to bring back cultural identity. The second one is create a multifunctional hub that complement other spaces and relocate different cultural activities. to economical growth and cultural vibrancy. And the other one is promote tourism and local identity.
During this analysis, we identified then three types of spaces: the streets, where the events are also host, the indoor spaces, and the outdoor spaces. And to adapt this to our site, we created 6 clusters that actually are connected to the values of Doliani. That it's the gathering, the education, the tradition, and the collective memory and creativity. These clusters will be related to the use and the phases of construction of our project.
So these initial phases are the preparation of the fornace itself. So the first one is site cleaning, exterior demolitions, ensuring building stability, and enclosure of private area of the owner, and construction of the promenade. As we have, we are considering a multifunctional space. The next phases are related to each use. So the first one is the production, sorry, because the owner still produces, and this was like the most important part to highlight. The second one is the workshop that is related with the bricks, offering a cultural experience, a different cultural experience, while the owner shares its knowledge and passion for the bricks. And Piazza Schelino was named after the creator of the architectural essence of Togliani, and is intended to host events throughout the year.
Then, of course, to highlight the wine and the gastronomy of the place, we're proposing a restaurant that also have a wine experience, wine tasting area. And also we wanted to highlight the architecture of the Hoffman kiln with these round shapes inside the vaults. Then we also proposing a brick museum, since the owner has a lot of bricks that he has produced throughout the years from his family. We also wanted to exhibit this. And not finally, but in the upper part of the building, we are proposing also a multifunctional space that can host activities with these two, a double area, a double altura? A double height, so they can host activities from the town to the building.
In terms of accommodation, we were proposing a hotel distributed in 2 levels, and this will respond to the need of having an accommodation within the city, and that offers different experiences. And finally, the central patio will be the last intervention to commemorate this actual space of the building, leaving it ruins till the final steps of the process. And the central patio will be like the direct connection between the Piazza Schelino, the building, and this will lead the distribution of the building.
But right now, the question is, how much will all this cost? Of course, it's a huge project, but we look for some stakeholders, public and private, that inside some public ones, there are Bandi programs and many other funds, and the privates that are mainly related to the wine and the accommodation or hotels. This is important to us to make the project possible, because the most important thing is to make Doliani as a whole, and with Fornace Gaero as an anchor to continue this linearity, and make the people get to know the Fornace Gaero, their spaces, their town. And another important thing for us is actually to adapt, reuse these spaces that right now there are many in Italy and all around the world that are left to decay, deterioration, and forgotten. So also this future of architecture to adapt these spaces for the necessities of the people right now. Right now, if you want to know more of the project, here are the plans of our design, so you can come and see it. Thank you for your attention.
Covering of the facade, so this is not so clear, but we will speak without plaster, without, okay.
What do you do with the owner of the people about the project?
Like, to find, and he was a mix of the idea, and he was also thinking about, like, I want to, but you know what you do.
Because looking for funds, but nobody was interested in the really developing side. It still continues working a little bit. It keeps a lot of endless molders which were used also to produce the bricks used by Stellino, because the Stellino bricks were made in that fornate. So that was also their idea to develop this museum, sort of museum to keep the memory of the past.
Yeah, and he's actually very passionate about all the families that we have. The commercial was also like actually by her grandparents. So it's very special to him, and he didn't want to lose his identity for him, but actually in order to share the knowledge. So that's why we always do these workshops for the kids, for people who speak this for everyone actually. And the other thing is that if you have all the machinery, the old machinery from so we also want to declare the history of his family.
I have a comment about that. Because you
I stakeholder, so I have to.
just actually strict, and I think that considering the project development and real development makes sense. He let the standard for the business plan, but in order to develop sort of analysis part, we will have in mind some key stakeholders that really take part and consider the development. For example, the restaurant is a very rich that
You'll have all the lines and the liners and everything. So I would think that the main investor that would be interested in investing into Formaggio would be also because he's very passionate about all the cultural parts of promoting of Italian. So we need more also there's that we started off was probably very cool of tourism right now. So maybe they want to some people who actually know as well Italian. And there's one winery over there that is called a if I remember right, and also we have been in development, developing the wine area and the whole itself because it's right now that it doesn't happen to so,
you know that the wife of Naudi is an artist, a friend of mine from the past, so that they have something my age. She graduated. So it is a good way of trying to and they have three boys, yes, young now, and they could be I think
very interesting. So, yeah, spent a lot in talking to that the area of the chip. They're also very passionate about making these their essence, their identity, and making the chip known. Because right now, everybody kind of knows. It's very unknown. It's very unknown. Also because it's the one that is very, it's to be trusted right away. No, not like those ones that you can sense they stay in the barrel for years and years, aging and aging. This one is to something right away. I think maybe that's different. That is why we have a little bit of popularity among the wine lovers, but it's very special and the taste is very good.
However, usually it was especially like it's very similar in terms of information. It is not far from here, but 15 minutes. And Cascina Posada is mentioned very similar, but it was at the farm house, but they maintain it exactly tractor, for example, or yesterday evening I was for dinner. There is a cafeteria and also an hotel and also so your idea, but it was nice. And the compagnie somehow was one of the
You're ready for the
the content and the architect yeah. Yeah, look at the Cascina Posada. Visit. It is very nice. Very similar. It's a very similar. You're welcome.
Thank you.
very much. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Although we had problems, but in the end, yeah, because that's the most important point. Okay. So the next candidate is Mariano Stefano, supervisor with again Professor Manuel Matona. And the title of the thesis is The Thread of Preserving Memory in the Project of Andrea Dormo. Make it work.